Hey folks, Jayborino here. I've got a replay sent to me by Solstice, the creator of the Xeyed race. Very excited to share this with you today. I haven't cast anything since Heptacraft. It's been a few months and I might be a little rusty, but I am excited to cast more extension mod, PvP related content. If you're interested in playing Xeyed, it is now an extension mod. No longer on the arcade. You don't have to find a specialized lobby or anything. You can just make a custom map and add the extension if you search for Xeyed in the extension mods. Also, join the chat group Xeyed Agents. I'll put this in the description of the video as well. You can find some more people to play with if you join that chat group. All right, well, in the upper right, we've got Xeyed Agent, who I suspect is Solstice, as our red Zerg? Question mark? Boom! No! It's the Xeyed race. It's because of the extension mod. Changes right at the beginning. I can notice immediately some cool changes with the Xeyed race. The workers, the scavengers have been changed to these cool wasp-like creatures. I like the look a lot. They used to be Zerg variants, drone variants, and now they're their own very unique model, which is very cool. In the bottom left, playing the purple Protoss is Noticals. I'm sorry, Noticals. I wish you luck playing against a super cool and unique race like Xeyed that you probably don't know a whole ton about, but we're going to be focusing on Xeyed this map. That's why I'm apologizing to you, because we're not going to be watching you too much. We're going to be watching what Xeyed Agent is doing up here. I'm not 100% sure that this is Solstice, though, so that's why I'm going to continue to just call him Xeyed Agent, because I really have no idea. Because we want to be going over Xeyed and the cool things about Xeyed, and if there's been any changes over the past couple months. I mean, we already know that there has been. I really like these scavengers. There's no hover tag here, but they clearly can't fly. I was thinking for a second, can these workers fly? Because that seems absurdly overpowered, but they can't. I assume that they're considered hover, but I'm not 100% sure because they don't have the tag. And it's very tempting to compare this race a lot to Zerg, just because they look Zergy and there's creep, but they function very differently. They just look like Zerg. As you can see, their workers are kind of like SCVs. They hang out by the buildings as they build, so I assume that they can be killed, which would halt the construction of the building. Xeyed Agent taking his expansion, along with Nauticals taking his expansion. And one thing to point out are these feeding pools. These are your supply structures as Xeyed. These used to give you a passive healing boost. It looks like it's still there. Oh, yes. I used to call these a poor man's mood. Well, I keep with that assessment. Nearby biological friendly units regenerate life up to 60% health. Can affect a maximum of 2 units. This looks new, though. I don't remember this. Supplementation. Nearby structures produce larvae 5% faster. That actually seems neat. So depending on where you place the feeding pools, you can use them for those defensive advantages, or you can use them to supplement your production structures. Each production structure produces its own larva, and that's how you build units. That Xeyed den right there is your basic production structure for your low-level Xeyed units. Looks like Nautical sending a probe in here. What can he see? Pretty much everything, but not quite everything. He doesn't know that the expansion is there. Kind of a big deal, I suppose, to miss that. And we do have a fast unit coming out here. Looks like a roamer for Xeyed Agents. Let's keep an eye on where he's going to go with this. We have a mothership core and stalkers coming out from Nautical. One stalker, not multiple. And there goes the roamer, starting to make its way across the map. I think these used to be... I believe these used to be... I don't know if this is new. I honestly don't remember. I think I vaguely recall there being roamers. Very, very fast. 4.9 movement speed. It does do a little extra damage versus light. And I'd like to make a quick check on how much these actually cost. And we can't check because there's no larva. Here we go. Check. 50 gas, 75.50. So reasonably expensive. Not something you want to lose right off the bat for sure. And it looks like he just launched some sort of bile up the ramp. It's actually going toe-to-toe with the stalk. As you can see, it really cannot take hits. It's meant for scouting. Let's check what that was. Reveals a small area of the map for 4 seconds. That's actually pretty neat. So it did no damage, but it did reveal the mothership core at the top of the ramp. And I suppose you can use that, especially if your opponent has walls. If you were to come up here and you have like a Terran or Protoss wall, you can launch that up the hill. And we'll see where Xeyed Agent decides to go with this roamer and what he's able to see. Is he able to shoot up the ramp from down here? We'll keep an eye on. And let's keep an eye on also the production tab. So yeah, he's launching that uphill to see if there's anything up there. That's actually pretty neat. We have some Scorpulus coming out from Xeyed Agent. Those are your frontline tanky tier 1.5 units. These used to do bonus damage versus light, but I believe that functionality has been moved, or so Solstice has told me, to the Raptureless. Yeah, the Tail Strike now does flat 12 damage. And we do have some basic upgrades coming out of the mutagen chamber. It's like I want to go over the Xeyed basics and all the upgrades and stuff, but at the same time, this game is happening, and I don't want to miss what's happening with the game. So let's see, we do have a fast robotics bay coming out from Nauticals. So, Scorpulus Metabolics improves Scorpulus movement speed by 20% is what we have coming out here. Immediately being followed by Piercing Points, which increases your Xeyedlings damage versus armored targets. Xeyedlings are sort of your tier 1 Marine unit. They're basically Marines. I think they used to only be able to attack ground. We'll see if that's been changed or not. But you can upgrade them to do extra versus armored, which would make them very, very effective against things like roaches and stalkers. And Marauders. At the same time, they're pretty weak, 75 health, so, I mean, they might be able to do good damage against roaches. They might be cost-effective against roaches, but they won't necessarily survive. Alrighty, so we do have 2 Xeyed dens out there being supplemented by the feeding pool here for faster larva regeneration. Stacks up to 4 times. That is cool. We got a Warp Prism coming out for Nauticals, so we're going to see some drops here. And then a Farian coming out for Xeyed Agent, which is, it's sort of like an Overseer. It detects, but also can drop. But you can't get it until like a tier 1.5, tier 2, I'd say, out of this biomass hatchery, which is sort of your factory level tech. Again, it's your tier 2 tech. You can get all sorts of good stuff here. We'll see, I'm sure, some of these units being built, and we can explain what they do. Got a nice composition here from Xeyed Agent, though Nauticals did just spot it with the Observer. Xeyed Agent actually seeing the shimmer of the cloaked unit, moving his Farian over to detect it, and then the Xeyedlings, that answers my question, can definitely attack air, picking off that Observer. And both players going for a drop. We've got 7 Xeyedlings and a Farian getting taken across the map. And what does Nauticals have to defend against this? 8 Stalkers. Now, the thing about Stalkers, I mean, they're very quick. They can respond fast to these types of drops. So, we'll see. Again, Xeyedlings pretty good. Piercing Points will finish, though, by the time that these Xeyedlings get dropped. So they probably can take out a few Stalkers, though not necessarily. They can't go. It's not like a 1-to-1 ratio. They don't have enough health, I don't think, for that. But here comes in some Xeyedlings. Looks like 1 worker going down, 2 workers going down, 3 workers go down before Nauticals responds. He's got 10 Stalkers. They're going to try to chase away the Farian. No blink yet. Meanwhile, across the map, Xeyed Agent continues to build his units. Looks like he's got a Raptorlisk out. Very similar to Hydralisks. There's that versus light damage that's been changed. Though that used to be on the Scorpulus, and I personally found that to be a little overpowered. And Solstice must have too, because he did move it to a higher tier unit. Because the Scorpulus could just tear through Zealots and Zerglings, specifically with that plus light. You want those in the front lines taking damage. I don't think they're necessarily your major damage dealers. Both players with a 3rd base up right now. Oh, and I missed a drop up here. 1 Purification Nova actually kills only 1 worker. That was looking good. Just didn't quite get it in there far enough before Xeyed Agent was able to respond quickly with his Raptorlisks and Xeyedlings. Looks like they had to pause there briefly. Both players harassing each other. We've got a Farian here right now, still full of those Xeyedlings, and Xeyed Agent deciding where to drop that. Meanwhile, we've got the Warp Prism up here. Clear and present danger, holding the Disruptor. Not really clear and present, considering I assume that Xeyed Agent can't see it. But here are the Raptorlings, again getting dropped in, picking off a couple workers. Let's keep an eye on how many workers killed. Relatively close between each player, but the difference is growing. 9 workers lost, 10 workers lost, 11 by Nauticals before he gets the Stalkers home to chase these away. Still no blink yet, actually just starting it, and Xeyed Agent also picking off the Mothership core right there. So a big drop there as Nauticals also, though, waiting for the right time to strike with that Purification Nova from the Disruptor, and Xeyed Agent having a nice group here of 1 or 2 Raptorlisks. He's got Xeyedlings. Now he's got the Mendlings out. Pretty much does what you would expect. Rapid Transfusion. Good healing. You will run out of energy pretty quick. I've always had mixed feelings on Mendlings and how necessary they are to keep in the game to keep Xeyed balanced. This looks new, but let's keep an eye on this. The Raptorlings, not the Raptorlings, the Xeyedlings still getting dropped and causing Nauticals a bit of a hassle. Not quite able to pick off that Farian still, but he did get a few of those Xeyedlings before they could do any major damage. And here comes in the Warp Prism again with the Disruptor. What's it going to do? Here comes a big Purification Nova, getting at least 3 workers. Let's check it out. Trying to close that gap of workers killed. The difference isn't so big that I think either player has a giant economy advantage based on how many they've killed at this point. We do have some other units in here that I'd like to check out. The Casnolisk. These used to be called Casnosalisks. It looks like the name has been condensed a bit. Not quite as confusing. I want to really keep an eye, though, on this Warp Prism before we talk about the Casnolisk, because they had some really cool abilities. And here's that Disruptor again. Oh, and Xeyed Agent seeing it, spotting it quickly, and moving his workers away. Here goes 1 Purification Nova, but actually landing in the exact spot where all the workers had been moved, and then the Xeyedlings moving in, picking off those Stalkers. You can see when they have a numbers advantage, those Xeyedlings can really tear through armored units. Not quite able to pick off the Warp Prism and getting out of there with the Disruptor. The supplies, Xeyed Agent definitely has an advantage here, and he's got some spellcasters. getting a covering spray. I believe this is what the Castellists have. What it used to be is it could cast it on a unit and make it cloaked for a bit of time. I also want to see whatever this is right here. So the Castellists, they've got Consume, pretty standard. Stagnating Bile, I believe, is new. Solstice let me know about this. It's like Corrosive Bile, but if it lands, it stuns. So we'll keep an eye out for that. That seems pretty cool. Both players still with their units here that are waiting to drop. We may have a big engagement here coming here pretty soon. We'll see if the Castellists, the spellcasters, can make a difference or not. Pretty good composition from Xeyed against a big Stalker Ball with 2 Disruptors. I think the Purification Novas are going to have to be on point here. If Noticals wants to hang on, there is that Stagnating Bile, a pretty cool looking graphic right there, like Corrosive Bile. If you can land those, I can see those making a big difference. And Xeyed Agent definitely with a big advantage here right now. But the Purification Nova taking out a big swath of Xeyed Agent's units. And it looks like another one in the back getting rid of a few things, but a big Stagnating Bile. Wow, that stun is definitely noticeable. That's like a 3 or 4 second stun right there. Another Purification Nova taking out a big swath, again, of Xeyed Agent's units right there. Nauticals blinking in, picking off one of the Castellists. That's what he needs to do. He realizes that those can stun his units. The Scorpilisks getting in the front, trying to do damage, able to get picked off by the Stalkers with the anti-armored pretty quick. And this is not looking good for Nauticals. One Stalker getting caught out right there. Second Stalker goes down from Zeedlings in the back. A Purification Nova, not quite where it needed to be. Nauticals struggling to hold on, gets the other Castellist, and a big Purification Nova again! 3 giant Purification Novas from those Disruptors. Let's check. 6 kills just from that Disruptor. That is, from one shot, is a big deal. As Nauticals warping in 5 more Stalkers to try to hold on against this as Xeyed Agent forced to retreat. I thought that was the end for Nauticals right now, actually blinking forward, trying to pick off some of these Mendlings. As you can see, the Mendlings already low on energy. They're powerful, but I don't think overpowered. But we'll see if Nauticals now wants to try to press his advantage. And haven't really had time to check out all this other cool stuff with Xeyed. These, I don't recall these being in the game. Prowler Explosive. I think I saw something laying these. These must be eggs laid by probably a Prowler. I think I saw a Prowler on a command card at some point. There it is. Okay. Mutates an explosive with detonates on contact. Oh, so it looks like it builds it. It's not usable while it's doing it. And it kind of poops them out, and they're like little baby spider mines / burrowed banelings. 50 damage. I'm curious to know if these are burrowed, and Nauticals wouldn't be able to see them. It's kind of low on my priority list to keep an eye out for, but it's definitely something I want to keep track of. Pretty large group, again, built here by Xeyed Agent, and he has a ton of money, and he has a big supply advantage. So Nauticals, if he wants to hold on again, gonna need to use those Disruptors to his advantage. And we've seen him do it, so I have huge faith that he can do it if he lands just a couple big Purification Novas. And again, Xeyed is not like Zerg. This supply advantage, if Xeyed were Zerg, you'd think, well, maybe that's a lot and really shitty units that would die really fast. That is not the case for Xeyed. These are all costly units that you can't just throw away. I want to see if maybe these Prowler eggs come into effect. Oh, and we do have Spitters out now from Xeyed Agent as well. Those do long-range area of effect. Pretty big engagement right here. Nauticals kind of forced to back out from the, what's it called? Stagnating Bile. And it looks like Nauticals trying to get in there with his Disruptor. Big stuns landing. And we have a Purification Nova, not quite able to pick anything off. The Castellist gets away. Uh-oh, big Stagnating Bile forcing Nauticals to blink into the army. Oh, dear. And between the Spitters and the Zeedlings, definitely going to pick off those Stalkers because they were forced to blink in because of the positioning. Because of the positioning forced by the Castellists. Very cool. Very cool. The Disruptors were in the back. It looked like a few Purification Novas weren't quite able to get off. But this was a great game, showing the effectiveness of Xeyed. I'm trying to imagine this game without Mendlings. I'm focusing too much on the Mendlings, but that's only because I'm remembering my history of watching Xeyed games in the past and thinking, like, how are these really in a multiplayer game? In either case, leave your thoughts on it below, but I think as Solstice continues to work on this race and refine it, I think graphically, visually, it looks awesome. It's a really fun race to watch play. It seems very balanced into the early and mid game. We've only seen 1 or 2 major late games in the past of Xeyed, so I'm curious to see how they perform in the late game. But I do really enjoy watching these types of games. As I said earlier, if you're interested in playing Xeyed, make sure to join the chat group Xeyed Agents. so that you can find some people to play with. And if you want to play, you create a custom lobby, and then you add an extension mod, specifically the Xeyed extension mod. So make sure to check this out, and if you play any Xeyed and you have any cool games, please feel free to send them to me to the email address in my About section on my channel. All right, well, this has been Jay Borino. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye now.